Dr. Taras Shevchenko University of Kiev, Dmytro Liashenko. Dmytro, floor is yours. You can start. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just a second. I need to Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Well, today's lecture is about urban transformation and conversion in Ukraine, case study of Kyiv. After taking into account all the concept of conversion and transformation in urban environment, it should be mentioned that we have some structure of our lecture. We will try to understand some definitions. You can see these definitions on the left side. And some case studies about Kyiv as the capital of Ukraine. Well, in urban environment, there are big amount of spaces that are abundant. There are more and more abandoned buildings that face the problems of economical, technological, and social functional obsolescence, which may be conditioned by the building characteristics or result from the aspects of wider environment. On the other hand, during the progressive growth of the world population, the need for new residential environment is still high. Let's speak shortly about sources of transformation and conversion. Why people unite together? Communication and cooperation allow people to collectively access issues of survival and development. In every community, a specific culture as that can be characterized by sharing learning, where each participant agrees on the elements that make them successful. In 1980, American manager Professor Edgar Schein, you can see his book and his photo, developed a model of organizational culture that provides a better understanding of the culture within a community and consists of 3 levels. Artifacts. Everyone can see these artifacts in city environment. These artifacts correspond to the external level of the culture of each country, region, city, or another people's community. They are visible to community members, but can also be recognized from the outside. These primarily include physical artifacts such as architecture and interior, physical space and its distribution. Souvenirs, fashions, and words used as specific cases. Language conveys culture through narratives, slogans, and vocabulary. Stories and myths, familiar in society, indicate the type of people or actions considered exemplary and how people should react to specific challenges. Myths tell about key events, about past glory. Symbols are visible, but they does not mean that they are easy to understand. In fact, artifacts can mislead an observer who feels tempted to use readily available labels and stereotypes to explain them. The next yellow level is exposed values. The reasons, drivers, and rationalizations for why members behave the way they do. And underlying assumptions are the fundamental basic assumptions deeply ingrained in the culture and expressed in obvious behavior. Assumptions are kind of belief perceived and axioms and are therefore universally accepted. They constitute the foundation of the culture of a city or region. In his work, Schein listed assumptions that shape the community's paradigm. Assumptions about what truth is, the interrelations of reality and truth, and whether truth can be revealed. Second, beliefs about time, how to define and measure time. You probably know about cyclic time that continue every year in ancient Egypt and ancient civilizations. Next one, assumptions about ownership and how space should be distributed. The significance of space in shaping relationships between people. Perceptions of human nature, whether it is predominantly positive or negative, and whether it can be perfected. Assumption about communities' connection with the environment, about us and others, and interactions with these others. assumptions about the interaction between people, power and duty distribution, cooperation or competition, collective and individual, leadership according to tradition of charisma, conflict resolution methods, and decision making. One can assume that the culture of cities and other communities is cemented by myth, a morally universal narrative that explains all fundamental meanings of the origin of civilizations, things, phenomena, and the entire world through emotional, allegorical images and plots. In other words, a myth is key knowledge about the structure of the world presented in a form that is easily accessible to the general public. It is the emotional nature of the myth that touches upon some basic patterns in humans, playing on the case to which individuals or the collective cannot help but react. Next, we will discuss components of the myth, such as architecture and the utilization of space, and how they change due to the changes in cultural organization of the city. A person in the space between grand structures and sculptures perceives the content that the creators laid as a foundation for organization of the space. As a result of various events in the life of civilizations, changes occur in culture, aesthetic basic assumptions, supported values, artifacts. All these changes can be of two types. First, radical and another partial. Radical changes in city environment we can define as transformation. Transformation refers to a comprehensive and fundamental change in the form, structure, and character of an urban area. It involves a holistic and often radical alteration in the physical, social, economic, and environmental aspects of an urban space. Urban transformation might include the redevelopment of brownfield sites, the revitalization of deteriorating neighborhoods, or the transition of an industrial zone into a mixed-use area. And conversion. Conversion, on the other hand, generally implies a change in the use of or function of a specific property or area within an urban context. It is often a more specific and localized process compared to transformation, focusing on how a particular space or building is repurposed. Urban conversion could involve transforming an old factory into loft apartments, converting warehouses into art galleries, or repurposing a commercial building into a community center. And let us begin with myths. In Ukraine and in all Slavic countries, we have such a proverb that Kiev is the mother of Russian cities. It is located on the convenient trade route from Varangians to Greeks, and recently celebrated its 1500th anniversary. In the saga of Olaf Tryggvason, it is told that he brought Christianity to Kiev. This king, Viking king, was a close friend of Prince Vladimir the Great, Kiev prince, and it was in a dream that Vladimir saw he must go to Byzantium, to Constantinople, to see the church there personally receive baptism. The saga states that Olaf brought a bishop to Kiev, and from this, the spread of Christianity in these lands began. Ukrainian historians assert that Prince Vladimir Sviatoslavovich, seeking to elevate the political and economical significance of Rus and justify the unification of the state under the rule of Kiev princes, adopted Christianity as the state religion. The key event was the mass baptism ceremony of the residents of Kiev in the year of 988. On the left side, you can see personal symbols of Rurikid knyazes, kings of ancient Rus. And you can see the symbol of Vladimir Sviatoslavovich and how this symbol is continued its life in the history. The series of socio-cultural systems changing on the hills of Kiev. The external appearance of Kiev evolved over many centuries, witnessing several epochs that differed from each other in basic assumptions, values, and artifacts. First of all, it's Kievan Rus, the Christianity, then Lithuanian and Great Grand Duchy of Lithuania, then Grand Duchy of Moscow, then Russian Empire, Ukrainian People's Republic in 1917 to 1921, Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic with its slogan, workers of the world unite, and industrialization. And we can see some examples of this ideology. And lastly, independent Ukraine with its symbol, glory to Ukraine. First of all, as a member of Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev, I can present some issues of our university. It is the first stop of our historical journey. This university, firstly, it had been created by order of Emperor Nicholas I as the Imperial University of St. Vladimir. The architect of the main building was Vincenzo Saberetti. Taras Shevchenko became an unofficial collaborator of the Kiev Archaeological Commission while carrying out tasks for commission. Shevchenko traveled extensively around Ukraine, collected folklore and ethnographic materials, and depicted the university building. you can see this picture of Taras Grigorovich Shevchenko, our national symbol, painter, poet, and political person. And you can see how the environment of this building was changing. The next, you can see Taras Shevchenko University on the photograph of the beginning of 20th century. In 1939, in the honor of the 125th anniversary of Taras Shevchenko birth, the university acquired his name. You can see monument to the founder of Kyiv University, Mykola I, in the park opposite the main building before 1917, and monument to Taras Shevchenko that is still stands now near our university. The university survived 2 world wars, and now it is ornament of the city center. Well, one of the main factors of changing in urban development is demography. You can see on the graph that the urban population is still growing. You know about demographic change and other issues. Well, Kiev is situated in the part of Russian Empire with dense population, and during the first years of Soviet power on the territory of Ukraine, the huge processes of urbanization took place. You can see that global urban change the number of people that lives in cities now is more than people that live in countryside, and the historical change in the population density of districts of Ukraine, you can see that there are huge population growth, and some big city agglomerations such as Kharkiv, Odessa, Dnipro, Donetsk, and Zaporizhia occurs on this territory. And nowadays, the map of fertility rate shows that it is a huge potential of young people in Africa, and this is one of the factors of migrations to Europe. Now, the war in Ukraine pushed a big amount of population from Ukraine to Europe, and probably it is one of the biggest move of population in the recent years. However, during the Soviet power on the territory of Ukraine, forced migrations and deportations also take place. Deportation had a significant impact on the urban development in the USSR, forcing the removal of individuals or groups from a particular territory. Several waves of deportation occurred in the USSR, including 1930s, then 1940s, then another issue is German deportation of Ukrainian to the war to Germany. The export of labor resources to Germany began on January 22, 1942, when over 2.4 million people, mostly young individuals, were forcibly transported from Ukraine. However, the Soviet government continued forced migrations of so-called enemies of people to Siberia, to Asia, and it was ethnic Germans, it was Crimean Tatars, and other ethnic groups. Also, Ukrainians were deported to eastern part of the Soviet Union. Bolsheviks brought the population of other ethnic groups to the vacated place, which changed the modern ethnic structure of Ukrainian cities. Another issue of our study is gentrification. It is a transformation of a city neighborhood from low value to a high value. The word gentrification was created in 1946 by Ruth Glass, a British sociologist, after her observation of the alteration in social structure and housing markets in certain areas in London. According to the dictionary, gentrification is defined as the process of conforming to an upper or middle class lifestyle, or of making a product activity appealing to those with more affluent tastes. In the picture, you can see how old industry can be transformed as a kind of joke. First of all, old abandoned industries and studios, then cafe, then bohemian apartments, then Bargian apartments, and then we don't know how these buildings will be used in the future. Well, the origin of the word gentrification, gentry or landed gentry, is a largely historical British social class of landowners who could live entirely from rental income, or at least had a country estate. And here you can see the appearance of the gentry. Well, in our research, we have used some methods. First of all, I will try to share the link uh, sorry. And give it to a chat. You can later follow the link and see this site. Chat. Yes. Here so-called space and time machine. What does it mean? This site allows us to see in a browser window big amount of maps of the territory of Kyiv. And another link is age of Kyiv buildings. Here you can see general plan, master plan of Kyiv, and the modern directions of the city grows. You can see green spaces is a ring around the city. This green forests have been planted in the Soviet times, where Soviet Union was on this territory, and now it is before our war with Russia. People can visit this forest. Nowadays, people have no possibility to visit forest because of danger. Another step, let's consider the period when Kyiv was a part of the USSR. In 1934, the capital of Ukrainian SSR was moved from Kharkiv to Kyiv, necessitating the creation of a government quarter. The territory of old Kyiv was ideal of this purpose, and the authorities chose the architect Yurchenko option, which involved demolishing St. Michael Cathedral and the Holy Trinity Church, constructing government buildings in that place, strategically visible from the Dnipro River. Of all the proposed options, the Commission preferred the project by Joseph Langbach. Only one building, now housing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was realized from the entire project. The structure was built on the site of Holy Trinity Church. St. Michael Cathedral was also destroyed. And you can see the picture of the project, and you can see ruins of St. Michael Cathedral. In 1997, the monastery wall with the gate was restored. In 1998, the bell tower, and in 1999, St. Michael's golden domed cathedral was officially opened. Kiev citizens decide to return to the old symbols, to the old Christian artifacts of the city center. By the way, Archangel Michael, the protector and patron of soldiers and knights, is a patron saint of the city of Kiev. The image of revolution of dignity at the main square of Ukraine, you can see, and we will speak about the square and Khreshchatyk, the main street of Kiev. The fair helped Khreshchatyk become a street. The partition of Poland, the shift of the border westward from Kiev, and the relocation of the contract fair from Dubna to Kiev in 1797 contributed to the development of Kiev. On the plan of 1780s, 90s, there are no marked building in the Khreshchatyk area. From the 1797 to 1803, plots on Khreshchatyks began to be allocated to magnates, government officials, town people, and merchants. In 1882, as a sign of gratitude, the Merchants' Ensemble building was constructed here. You can see this is the first building of stone in the city center. And here you can see this building and the changing environment through the years. During the Second World War, Kiev was to become an example of scorched earth tactic. Mining began in the summer of 1941. Bolsheviks planted explosive on all major infrastructure and transportation objects of the city: bridges, power stations, gas works, railways, telegraph, post offices, telephone exchanges, etc. Moreover, the Soviets mined large buildings in the city center that Germans could use for headquarters or accommodating soldiers. Basic assumptions and supported values are manifested not only in architecture, but also in other forms of visual art. After these huge destructions, Soviet people, you can see smoke of fire in the September of 1931. It's aero photo of Kiev. Basic assumption and supported values are manifested not only in architecture, but also in other forms of visual art. The poster from the time of the Second World War on the left, and the other one created by Irakli Toidze was revisited by the artist in 1959 in connection with the beginning of space exploration era. The poster is titled "In the Name of Peace." Another examples of visual art of the times is rebuilding of territory after World War II. You can see beautiful young men and women who ask everyone to join this big construction. You can see this building in 1976 is a picture of socialist Ukraine. I remember the picture. In 1978, the old building was broken, and then in the place, a new building was constructed. The building's distinctive feature was an electronic clock on a tower. During the Revolution of Dignity, this building was fired up, and then it was restored on 2019. Unions, businesses, and public organizations returned to the building. The British international company IWG opened its largest co-working office in Ukraine in this trade unions building on the right. After reconstruction, Khreshchatyk Street became an example of Stalinist empire architecture style, where buildings were constructed with Soviet grandeur. Stalinist empire, Soviet monumental classicism or neoclassicism are names for a well-known architectural style of 30s and 50s of the 20th century. The main features of the style are solemnity and monumentality, assemble development of street and squares, synthesis of architecture, sculpture, and painting. Development of Russian classicism traditions, use of architectural orders, reliefs with heraldic compositions, and depictions of workers, optimistic mood, and of the entire work, and use of marble, bronze, and precious wood in the decoration of public interiors. One of the most vivid examples of Soviet architecture style, Stalin Empire, is the Kiev skyscraper on Khreshchatyk built in 1954. You can see its building on the left. Reconstruction of the main street of the country began again after the Second World War. The architectural competition was won by a project led by the chief architect of the city of Vlasov. However, after the chief architect was transferred to a similar position in Moscow, architect Anatoly Dobrovolsky took over construction. Also, national motifs were forbidden at the time. The architect did everything to incorporate Ukrainian Baroque into every building on the main street of the country. On the buildings, one can notice motifs and molding similar to those preserved in some ancient Kiev churches. An outstanding example in the Passage Arcade on Khreshchatyk. The tall, massive arc is adorned with wild dark stone at the bottom. The top is brightly decorated with a skillful mosaic. It was believed to be a Portuguese pattern, but in fact, it repeated national motifs. Another our part of our election is history of Kiev fortification. It is a map of from Atlas, the fortresses of Russian Empire. This map was created in 1830s, and you can see some fortresses: Zvirinets fortress, Vasilkiv fortress, Hospitalny fortress, Kyivo-Pechersk citadel, and arsenal. A bridge and another fortification buildings. In anticipation of a war with France, the military ministry developed on the beginning of 19th century, developed and implemented the construction of series of fortifications. Consequently, on June 24, 1810, the construction of the Zvirinets fortification began. Fragments of Zvirinets fortification ramparts are presented today, now within a territory of National Botanical Garden named after Grishko of the National Academy of Science of Ukraine. Part of the bastions with only the Spassky Bastion revitalized in 2019. One of the four lanets and brick defensive wall that close to the citadel from the Dnipro side remain from the Pecherska citadel. You can see these walls on the reconstruction, and these walls are still exist. Lysogorska Fort. Lysa Gora in English, it's a bold mountain. This Lysogorsky Fort, which was an independent fortification, has been preserved quite well. The regional landscape park, an object of national cultural heritage, architectural monument, Lysogorsky Fort of Kiev Fortress, is now located on the territory of this Lysa Gora. And you can see visitors of the park. Repurposing military objects is a creative act. Perhaps every creative person has dreamed of a total transformation of military facilities into museums, hotels, restaurants, or simply monuments. The architectural dominant of the complex on Pechersk is the structure of the old arsenal. The former workshop for the production, repair, and storage of ammunition and cannon parts. The decree for its construction outside the Pechersk fortress walls was signed by Russian Empress Catherine II in May of 1783. In September of the same year, the project for the brick arsenal building was developed by architect of engineering corps of the Russian army, Karl Spekle. Empress Catherine visited Kiev in 1787. She wrote, "Trumpets and drums sounded in air, shots from cannons echoed from Pechersk fortress. On the vast square in front of Pechersk fortress, triumphal gates were erected. 101 shots rang out again from the fortress. Commandant Kochios presented the case to the fortress. And then she wrote, this strange local town, it contains entirely of fortifications and suburbs, but I still cannot find the actual city. You can see how the landscape of this part of fortress has been changing. The arsenal is a building like a square, and already in the early 19th century, the old Pechersk fortress completely lost its defensive role and transformed into industrial storage complex. Over the following years, most of the entrance gates of the citadel were dismantled, and openings were made in the ramparts for streets, passages, and even a railway track. When it was decided to create a cultural center on the territory, archaeological excavations were carried out, leading to the discovery of the burials of monks. Since 2003, it has become a cultural and artistic institution. Today, alongside exhibitions, restoration work is underway on the premises, and efforts are being made to create a modern museum complex. You can see, and you can see the logo of Mistetsky Arsenal is this square, the shape of the building you can see in it. There are several legal schemes for acquiring industrial enterprises and accordingly the land plots on which they are located. The main and most common method is the purchase of corporate rights. Other schemes are possible, such as buying real estate, reorganizing a legal entity, privatization, and so on. The elimination of industrial zones in Kyiv and the reprofiling of territories are issues that interest not only the city authorities, but also investors who have the opportunity to develop large-scale projects. There are very new undeveloped plots in Kyiv, so cooperation with the relocation of existing and liquidation of inactive enterprises is beneficial to both sides. Investors are interested in buying industrial enterprises with subsequent changes in land use as one of the current development options. For investors, the territories of industrial enterprises represent a certain interest as they are already developed with existing infrastructure and transport accessibility. The interest of local residents lies in the safe and beautiful public spaces and points of interest, symbols of the neighborhood. This another example of arsenal plant. The area of the industrial enterprise now become not so big. Investors come to the territory and they began the revitalization and renovation of the territory. In this case, the developer faces important decisions during the development of project on the territories of former industrial enterprises, such as choosing the functional content and development option, reconstruction or new construction. Today, there are several examples in Kiev, and one of these examples is Arsenal plant. An event that showcased the arrival of a private capital to the former symbol of Soviet industry was the opening of Kyiv food market. The plant's building and the area in front of it, opposite the Arsenalna metro station, were reconstructed and opened for free visits. Here you can see this territory after reconstruction, these pictures of 2021, before war. And here you can see proposals of how these spaces can be developed in future. Michael Gates of the Kiev fortress. You can see this ancient part of citadel wall in gray color. Its square building is an Arsenal metro station. Michael Gate was constructed in 1846. Construction work began according to the project of architect Petro Tamansky and military engineer Freeman. The moat at the site of the future Arsenal Square was filled in. Soon the fortress lost its strategic importance and the gate was filled in. In 1855, on the second floor of the left wing, a station of magnetic telegraph was arranged. Barracks in the casemates became the main guard room and became a prison for secret prisoners. In July 2020, the reconstruction of Arsenal Square began with the fund of private investors. The former barracks with the gate were rebuilt for commercial purposes. The old pavement of the square was replaced. New benches and energy-efficient lighting were installed. Unified commercial space was created. Restaurants, offices, and other establishments were opened. The renovation of Arsenal Square was completed in 2021. Decor on the gate was restored, including 4 lions mascarons. McDonald's and other dining establishments are located in the building now. Another source of city revitalization in the 20th century was the process of industrialization. Industrialization is a period of social and economic changes that transforms a human group from an agrarian society to an industrial one. It involves a broad reorganization of the economy for production purposes. Industrialization in the Soviet Union was a process of accelerated growth of the industrial potential of the Soviet Union aimed at reducing the economic lag behind developed capitalist states. This process took place from May 1929 to June 1941. The slide shows the change in the structure of industrial production, red, and agricultural production, green. So you can see that Bolsheviks and Stalin government change the industry structure in the former Soviet Union. Also, we can see example of posters. These posters are from the collection of Ukrainian Soviet propaganda from early 1930s of 20th century. Most of the agit pop is dedicated to the first 5-year plan, which laid the industrial foundation of the Ukrainian political elites still possess. The posters reflect various aspects of industrialization and militarization of the time. Industrialization and the terror of the 30s were an inseparable processes of creating the industrial technical base of the USSR. The first could not do without cheap labor, and the second, through the repressive system of the NKVD, ensured the construction of socialism and communism. Well, the idea of Bolsheviks is the world revolution, and they think that they can join with Hitler, with National Socialist Party of Germany, and they attack the Poland in 1939 from both sides. And the idea was the world revolution and to destroy capitalism system. Today, over 30% of Kiev's area is occupied by industrial purpose plots. The need to relocate harmful industries located in the central areas of the capital that use foundry production has long been discussed. About 40% of Kyiv enterprises no longer function for various reasons: changes in market conditions, termination of land lease privileges, poor management, and so on. Such enterprises exist by renting warehouse or administrative buildings. Their future lies in the selling to investors or directive liquidation by the city authorities. Placing production facilities in the city is no longer relevant. The cost of land in Kyiv is comparable to European price levels. I think that this is information before Russian-Ukrainian war. The cost of land is usually calculated using the income approach, allowing to determine the best use and estimate the profit a particular plot could generate if a specific purpose object is created. There are already several examples in Kiev of repurposing former industrial buildings into commercial real estate objects. First, Garmatny Way or Cannon Lan. In December of 1881, Swiss entrepreneur Yakov Greter, who lived in Kiev, acquired the right to use 4 hectares of state land on the western streets of Kiev in Shulavka for a residence from the heirs of Colonel Leonovich. Together with Hessian engineer Philip Moser, Greater opened a new enterprise, the Kiev Foundry and Mechanical Plant. You can see the ancient picture of the plant, Greater and Krivanek, joint stock company. Soon, after Joseph Krivanek arrived in place of Moser, his activity was associated with military supplies. In 1914, at the Greater and Krivanek plant, damaged military equipment was repaired. Shulavka residents particularly remembered cannons in Ukrainian Garmaty under conditions of strict secrecy, taken out of the plant through a black exit and transported along a rural road towards the railway. Hence, the street was named Garmatna or Cannon Lan. We can translate. In the early 20th century, the plant began producing rails and bridges, the first diesel engines, etc. With a couple of years, the Bolsheviks nationalized the plant, and in 1922, it was renamed to Bolshevik. You can see this Bolshevik name. However, nowadays, the Bolshevik is not very popular toponym in Kiev, and they quickly change the name of the huge market and hotel that has been created to Cosmopolit. Cosmopolit instead of Bolshevik, but the style is the same. Currently, some of the old factory buildings are occasionally used for filming, while some spaces have long been rented out for offices and shops. A significant portion was sold in early 2000 for a shopping center. You can see inside the enterprise and renovation of the spaces. Cosmopolit, shopping center, and inside the shopping center. Another interesting place is Saper Field. There was Saper Fields emerged on the site of ranch that existed hence since the mid-19th century. Here's a map. The location, Sapper Field, got its name because of the battalion of sappers, the barracks, and the ranch, which had been stated here since the middle of the 19th century. Here you can see how the ancient military object is inside modern city. Communist plant. It is situated not far from the place when I have been lived when I was young. The history of the radar plant began in 1930 with a small workshop of Sverdlova Street, which grew into a research plant and then into an aircraft instrument making plant. You can see here is the territory of plant, and yellow new buildings, apartment buildings that have been created on the territory of plant. The old parts of enterprise are demolishing. And sometimes, instead of rethinking the functions of industrial buildings, the developers plan to build housing complexes, only increasing the load on the existing infrastructure. Here is the territory of the plant, and this territory had been divided in a few parts, and now developers create new apartment buildings, and you can buy the apartments now. You can see. I don't know is the actual price of two-room apartments. One more option is renovation. You can see yellow building of 19th century, and Delta Ukraine successfully certified the Grand Business Center in Kyiv for Dragon Capital Property Management according to BRIAM in use International Environmental Assessment System. It can be mentioned that the renovation was good planned, and even more you can see St. Michael Cathedral that still the exterior of the cathedral you can see after renovation. It's beautiful parts. Another option, the motorbike plant. It also had been renovated. You can see aerial image, and nowadays the innovative park Unit City has been created here. I have been to this Unit City on a conference, and it was really amazing experience, very beautiful territory. And last example, the territory of former plant Vulcan. the main, it was rubber plant. And after renovation, you can see this parcel of land. They created a beautiful beautiful buildings, comfort town. They decided to use colorful exterior, and it is nowadays it's one of the most beautiful apartment buildings in Kiev. Well, examining the cases that were at the center of this work, it should be noted that the cultural space of the city throughout its history is characterized by artifacts. All these cultural elements depend on implicit underlying values, norms, standards, and rules of behavior, and deep assumptions of the residents. Deep assumptions explain the connection between reality and truth, ways of defining and measuring time, notions of ownership, and how space should be distributed. The cultural environment of the city changes over time, and for successful survival, the community chooses assumptions and values that seem most effective at the moment. During moments of fundamental changes in the hidden meanings of the city's existence, architecture and interior physical space and its utilizations undergo changes. Over more than 1,500 years of existence, several stages can be traced in the history of Kiev. The spread of Christianity, active construction of fortification in 19th century, industrialization in the mid-20th century, deindustrialization and gentrification at the end of the 20th century and at the beginning of the 21st century. Some landmarks have been preserved as artifacts of the past, some have undergone total transformation, and some have undergone conversion. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dmytro, for the deep dive into the history of Kiev and showing the transformation and conversion through these historical examples. And it was really wonderful experience. Dear participants, do you have questions for Dmytro? You can ask him now. Okay, I have some little question. It is right that in Ukraine today, all of some history of USSR and all of these elements of historical of USSR is forbidden today.
Partly yes.
Yes?
Because of Russian aggression, in my opinion, sometimes it's not very good idea to forbid to throw away all this experience. For example, Bulgakov is a famous writer, and nowadays the street of his name was changed the name because he was Russian monarchist and don't like Ukrainian at all. However, in the time of huge aggression, where people die, where buildings are destroying, some people are angry and of Russian army, and so it can be possible kind of compensation to cancel all Russian names, all Russian toponyms, all Russian writers and painters. On the other hand, during the Russian Empire, there was a huge amount of Ukrainian artists and painters and cultural persons have been moved to Moscow and St. Petersburg. And when Ukraine was a part of empire, it was a kind of mutual history. So it's very difficult to divide Russian history and Ukrainian history because we have been part of one political unit, Russian Empire and then the Soviet Union. Well, I think that after the war ends, after it should be a long period of understanding this pain and renovation, another stage of renovation of our territory. You probably know that Kharkov city has been destroyed right now, and Odessa city, and Dnipro city, and Mariupol and Avdiivka are totally destroyed by Russian occupants, and it's a big pain, and it's a big anger for Ukrainian people. And I should say great thank you for German government, for European Union, the United States, and other people who support Ukraine in the time of pain and struggle.
Thank you so much for your answer. So, dear participants, do you have any questions, or we can end it our lecture today? So I think that we can end it our lecture. Thank you so much, Dmytro. It was really interesting. And dear participants, see you at the next lectures. Goodbye and have a nice day today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.